October 14, 2024, News Report 1. According to Deutsche Welle, on October 14, the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences awarded the 2024 Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences to Professor Darren Acemoglu of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Professor James Robinson of the University of Chicago, and Professor Johnson. The award committee noted that the research of these three scholars reveals how social institutions are formed and influence economic prosperity. They demonstrated the importance of social institutions in a country's economic development, particularly emphasizing that societies with weak political structures and institutions that exploit the public find it difficult to achieve long-term economic growth. During the press conference, Acemoglu participated via a phone call. A reporter asked how to explain China's significant economic achievements under an authoritarian regime. In response, Acemoglu stated that authoritarian regimes like China have achieved substantial economic growth through investments in innovative fields, but he emphasized that such growth lacks the stability and sustainability found in democracies. News Report 2. According to the Korean Central News Agency, the General Staff of the North Korean Army issued operational readiness instructions on October 12, requiring 8 frontline artillery brigades to prepare for full-scale firing and to be on standby by 8 p.m. on October 13. If South Korea is confirmed to provoke again, North Korea will retaliate. The provocation, referred to by North Korea, involves multiple incursions by South Korean drones into North Korean airspace. The North Korean Foreign Ministry issued a statement on the evening of October 11, claiming that South Korea had used drones to infiltrate the airspace over Pyongyang 3 times this month, distributing anti-North Korean leaflets, which constitutes a serious provocation. The North Korean military is actively preparing to respond to the situation. In contrast, South Korea strongly denied these allegations. On October 11, South Korean Defense Minister Lee Jong-seop stated that the South Korean military had not launched any drones toward North Korea. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un criticized South Korea's military developments as incomprehensible, while his sister Kim Yo-jong stated on October 12 that North Korea does not care about the source of the drones. The key issue is the distribution of anti-North Korean leaflets. She warned that if South Korean drones were found invading Pyongyang's airspace again, the consequences would be very severe. South Korea's response was also very firm. On October 13, the South Korean Defense Ministry stated that if North Korea infringes upon the safety of South Korean citizens, the end of the North Korean regime would follow. South Korean military videos show that the Air Force and Army are mobilizing. Defense Minister Lee Jong-seop analyzed North Korea's actions, stating that the purpose of the military maneuvers is to control internal situations, reflecting potential signs of instability within North Korea. He emphasized that whether war breaks out does not depend on North Korea's decisions but rather on South Korea's response. This sudden military tension has brought the North-South standoff close to the brink of war. Analysts believe that North Korea's actions are related to the People's Liberation Army's military exercises in Taiwan, suggesting that North Korea seems to be coordinating with China's actions in the Taiwan Strait, sending a signal to the United States. News Report 3. The Israeli military continues to strike targets associated with Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, PIJ. On October 12, the Israeli military announced that the Israeli Air Force attacked 280 targets related to the PIJ and Hamas, including underground infrastructure, weapons storage facilities, and military command centers. Meanwhile, the PIJ launched 320 projectiles from Lebanon toward Israel. The Israeli military reported that the PIJ attacked an Israeli military base on October 13, resulting in the deaths of 4 soldiers and injuries to 67 others, 7 of whom were critically wounded. This marked one of the most lethal strikes by the PIJ since the Israeli ground operations began in Lebanon. On October 13, the U.S. Department of Defense announced that it would deploy a THAAD missile defense system to Israel and send 100 U.S. soldiers to operate it. This is the first time the U.S. has sent troops to Israel since the outbreak of the Israel-Hamas conflict. The THAAD system consists of 6 mobile launchers, each equipped with 8 interceptors, along with a powerful radar system. U.S. officials stated that the THAAD system and its personnel are expected to arrive in Israel within a week. Meanwhile, the PIJ has been using United Nations peacekeeping forces as cover to continue attacking Israel. Over the past month, the PIJ has launched 25 rockets and missiles at Israel from a position just 300 meters away from a UN outpost, with one attack resulting in the deaths of 2 Israeli soldiers. The Israeli military discovered hundreds of weapons, including firearms, grenades, and rocket launchers, in underground facilities near the UN outpost. The UN peacekeeping forces stationed in Lebanon were originally intended to ensure that southern Lebanon remains a demilitarized zone, preventing the PIJ's military operations and stopping the flow of weapons. However, the peacekeepers have failed to disarm the PIJ over the past 18 years and have instead become a protective umbrella for it. On September 30, prior to the Israeli ground operations in Lebanon, the Israeli Defense Ministry repeatedly requested the UN peacekeeping forces to withdraw, but this was denied. On October 13, Israeli Prime Minister publicly called on UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres to immediately withdraw the peacekeeping forces from the conflict areas in southern Lebanon. However, the UN has not taken action to withdraw and subsequently blamed Israel for attacking the peacekeepers. This incident has drawn widespread international attention, but the UN has yet to take effective measures in response to the PIJ's attacks. News Report 4. According to Radio France Internationale, former Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen arrived in the Czech Republic on October 13, marking her first overseas trip since leaving office. On October 14, she attended a forum in the Czech Republic, where she delivered a speech titled, "Proving the Determination and Resilience of Democracy." In her speech, she stated that Taiwan is facing tough and pragmatic challenges from the Chinese Communist leadership and emphasized the importance of unity, expressing confidence that democratic values will ultimately triumph. During the forum, Tsai Ing-wen is scheduled to meet with Czech Prime Minister Petr Pavel, as well as the Senate and House speakers. Pavel had previously spoken with Tsai Ing-wen for 15 minutes after being elected president last January. Tsai Ing-wen's European trip is planned for 8 days, with visits to France, Belgium, and the European Union headquarters. Originally, Tsai Ing-wen also planned to visit the United Kingdom, but according to The Guardian, the UK Foreign Office requested that she postpone her visit to avoid provoking China before Foreign Secretary James Cleverly's trip to China. In response, Tsai Ing-wen's office stated that she would visit the UK at an appropriate time. News Report 5. On October 14, the Taiwan Affairs Office of China announced that it had included Shen Boyong, the leader of a Taiwanese civil organization, and Tsai Shing-cheng, the founder of Taiwan's United Microelectronics Corporation, in the stubborn pro-independence elements list and imposed sanctions on them and the Black Bear Academy in Taiwan. According to the sanctions, Shen Boyong and Tsai Shing-cheng are prohibited from traveling to mainland China, Macau, and Hong Kong. The Black Bear Academy is a civil organization that enhances Taiwan's civil defense knowledge and skills through lectures and training, helping the public improve self-defense capabilities in the event of war. Shen Boyong, the director of the Black Bear Academy, stated that he was not surprised by the sanctions. Tsai Shing-cheng had previously donated 600 million new Taiwan dollars to the Black Bear Academy in 2022. In response to the sanctions, Tsai Shing-cheng stated on October 14 that the spokesperson for the Taiwan Affairs Office had openly intimidated him and indicated that he would sue, planning to have the spokesperson brought to court as soon as they set foot in Taiwan. News Report 6. Several American media outlets released polls over the past weekend showing that Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are in a very close race, with their support rates nearly tied. According to ABC, Trump's support rate is 47%, while Harris is at 46%. A joint poll by ABC and Ipsos shows Trump at 48% and Harris at 50%. A CBS and YouGov poll also indicates Trump's support at 48% and Harris at 51%. Overall, both candidates' campaign teams are making significant efforts to rally support. CNN reported that former President Bill Clinton visited Georgia on October 13 to campaign for Harris. He interacted with voters at local churches and farms, and video footage showed Clinton visiting a local McDonald's, where staff mistakenly referred to him as President Biden. On the other hand, CBS reported that during a campaign rally for Trump in Coachella, California, on October 12, local police arrested a man with a weapon. The 49-year-old man claimed to be a Trump supporter and had driven from Las Vegas to the rally. During a routine check, police found he was carrying a fake rally pass and was armed with a loaded handgun and a shotgun. He was subsequently arrested. News Report 7. The body of former chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, Wu Bengwa, was cremated on October 14 at the Babaoshan Revolutionary Cemetery in Beijing. General Secretary of the Communist Party Xi Jinping, 5 members of the Politburo Standing Committee, and Vice President Han Zheng were present to pay their respects. Premier Li Chang was unable to attend due to an official visit to Vietnam, and former President Hu Jintao was absent for health reasons but sent a floral tribute. Wu Bengwa passed away in Beijing on October 8 at the age of 84. Wu Bengwa is best known for proposing the 5 no's, which include no multi-party rotation in governance, no diversification of guiding ideologies, no separation of powers and bicameral system, no federalism, and no privatization. This policy was considered a political stance of the Communist Party, ensuring the party's concentrated control over state power. Some commentators, such as independent journalist Gao Yu, believe that Wu Bengwa's 5 no's represent a regression in Chinese politics, limiting the space for political reform. In an official eulogy, the Communist Party praised Wu as an excellent party member and a tested loyal fighter, highlighting his loyalty to the party and contributions in leadership roles. News Report 8. According to data released by the General Administration of Customs of China on October 14, the total exports in September reached $303.7 billion, a year-on-year increase of 2.4%, while imports totaled $222 billion, up 0.3%, resulting in a trade surplus of $81.7 billion. Although these figures indicate a stable level of exports, the overall performance shows less volatility compared to previous years. Analyst Wang Qing pointed out that manufacturing activity in China remains well below the average level of the past decade. It is expected that external demand will decline in the fourth quarter of this year, posing downside risks to China's exports. Despite the growth seen in September's export figures, the future export outlook remains bleak. Additionally, data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that the Consumer Price Index, CPI, in China rose by 0.4% year-on-year in September, below the expected 0.6% and also lower than the previous month's 0.6%. Food prices increased by 3.3%, while non-food prices fell by 0.2%, and gasoline prices dropped significantly by 7.6%. The Producer Price Index, PPI, declined by 2.8% year-on-year, exceeding the expected decrease of 2.5% and hitting its lowest level since April this year. This marks the 24th consecutive month of PPI decline in China, reflecting ongoing price pressures in the industrial sector. These data illustrate the intensifying deflationary pressures in China's economy. Bloomberg commented that the real estate crisis has impacted consumer demand, exacerbating economic weakness, which could lead to China's GDP growth in the third quarter falling below the government's target of 5%. Economists generally agree that China's economy currently faces challenges, especially with weak performance in consumption and the industrial sector. News Report 9. Reports from Hong Kong's New News indicate that the central bank and several financial institutions in Hong Kong have recently launched high-interest short-term deposit products. For example, the China Merchants Bank has introduced a 7-day fixed deposit with an annualized interest rate as high as 20%. Similar high-interest products include a short-term RMB deposit from Fubon Bank, which offers an annual interest rate of 19.88% for 7 days and 6.88% for 1 month. These products reflect aggressive measures taken by banks to attract deposits, particularly in RMB. The China Merchants Bank's fixed deposit requires an investment amount between 300,000 and 7.2 million renminbi, and customers must convert HKD to RMB for storage, raising concerns about exchange rate fluctuation risks. For a deposit of 7.2 million renminbi, the interest earned in 7 days would be approximately 28,000 renminbi. These high-interest deposits will continue until the end of December this year. These high-interest products indicate a significant tightening of RMB's supply in the Hong Kong market. The People's Bank of China aims to prevent the rapid decline of the RMB exchange rate by tightening the RMB supply in Hong Kong. On October 14, the onshore RMB exchange rate was 7.0795, down 119 basis points from the previous day, marking a new low since September 18, while the offshore RMB exchange rate was 7.0960 as of 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The central bank's tightening measures reflect its concerns about the stability of the RMB exchange rate. By limiting the RMB supply in the market, the central bank seeks to reduce exchange rate volatility and prevent further depreciation of the currency. News Report 10. The Macau Special Administrative Region held its chief executive election on October 13, 2023, but the election has been met with skepticism as only one candidate participated. Ho Iat Seng was the sole candidate, receiving 394 votes, with a vote share of 98.99%. This type of election has been criticized as a fake election, reflecting the Chinese government's tight control over Macau's affairs. Ho Iat Seng's election is significant as he is the first chief executive born in Zhongshan, Guangdong, rather than Macau, symbolizing the new phase of Beijing's governance over Macau. Critics argue that this indicates the Chinese government is no longer hiding its direct control over Macau. In his acceptance speech, Ho Iat Seng stated that as chief executive, he would be accountable to the Chinese central government and firmly take on the responsibility of safeguarding national interests. He emphasized the close relationship between Macau and mainland China, particularly in political and economic matters. Regarding Macau's gambling industry, Ho Iat Seng has previously criticized the sector, and Chinese President Xi Jinping also holds a reserved attitude towards Macau's gambling industry. Macau's gambling sector has long attracted substantial funds from mainland China, becoming an area that the central government seeks to control and limit, especially in the context of increasing scrutiny on capital outflows. News Report 11. Australia has recently issued an international arrest warrant for a Chinese man named Huang Yao after he intentionally poured scalding coffee on a 9-month-old baby in a park in Brisbane on August 27, causing severe burns. The baby has undergone 7 surgeries due to the incident. Given the severity of the case, Huang Yao could face life imprisonment. After the incident, Huang Yao quickly fled Australia and returned to China. Reports indicate that he was employed at a lamb factory in Melbourne but was fired due to holding a student visa and subsequently left. Huang Yao first arrived in Australia in 2019 and had worked in Queensland, New South Wales, and Victoria. The incident has garnered widespread attention, with many members of the Chinese community organizing fundraising activities to support the victim's family. One individual, under the name Love from Chinese Parents, donated 10,000 Australian dollars to express outrage over the incident and support the victim. Despite the lack of an extradition treaty between Australia and China, there is little chance of Huang Yao being extradited back to Australia. However, the public and media are calling for accountability to ensure he pays for his actions. This incident not only highlights the seriousness of individual violent behavior but also sparks discussions on legal cooperation between China and Australia. News Report 12. According to Caixin, Wang Wenhai, former director of the Hunan Provincial Justice Department, died on October 13, 2024, after suddenly falling ill while serving his sentence. He was taken to Nanyang's second hospital but was ultimately pronounced dead, at the age of 69. Wang was dismissed from his position in 2006 and served as the director of the Hunan Provincial Justice Department from 2008 until his retirement in March 2018. In July 2021, he was investigated for corruption, and in January 2022, he was referred for prosecution. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison last June for accepting bribes totaling 58 million yuan and abuse of power. Wang appealed the first instance verdict. The second trial has been held but not yet concluded, making his death during this period unexpected. In another news story, the People's Procuratorate of Mudanjiang, Heilongjiang Province, applied to confiscate the illegal gains of Li Chuanliang, vice mayor of Jixi City. These assets include 1,021 properties, 27 pieces of land, 38 vehicles, and 10 pieces of machinery, totaling as much as 3.2 billion yuan. Li Chuanliang was appointed vice mayor in 2012 and fled in 2018, and he is still at large. The Heilongjiang Provincial Public Security Department has issued a wanted notice for him. Additionally, on October 14, 2024, the Intermediate People's Court of Xiangyang, Hubei Province, sentenced Wang Dawei, vice governor of Liaoning Province, to death, with a 2-year suspension of execution. Wang was convicted of accepting bribes totaling 550 million yuan. These incidents reflect the ongoing severe issue of corruption among Chinese officials, particularly with embezzlement amounts reaching billions, starkly contrasting with the living standards of ordinary citizens. For example, farmers in China receive pensions of less than 200 yuan per month, while the sums embezzled by officials are alarmingly high. This phenomenon has also raised doubts about the effectiveness of China's anti-corruption campaign, with some believing that corruption continues to worsen. News Report 13. According to AFP, Elon Musk's SpaceX successfully conducted a test flight of the newly constructed Starship 5 on October 13, 2024, in Texas. During the test flight, the launch tower's robotic arm grabbed the recovered rocket booster like chopsticks. The booster landed on the 7th day after launch, hovering near the launch tower before being grasped by the robotic arm. Meanwhile, the Starship continued to fly and safely landed in the Indian Ocean. This event has generated significant buzz online, with many viewing it as an important milestone in the history of space exploration, marking SpaceX's closer approach to achieving its goal of rocket reuse. However, some argue that this launch did not present much innovation since SpaceX has already mastered critical technologies, including pinpoint landing and attitude control, which allow rockets to land stably at specific locations. Notably, the timing of this test flight seems closely related to Tesla's latest product launch event. Tesla unveiled new products, including autonomous taxis, self-driving trucks, and humanoid robots, on October 10 in Los Angeles, but investor reactions were lukewarm, causing Tesla's stock to plummet by 8.78% on October 14. Against this backdrop, SpaceX's test flight performance is viewed as a positive response to the market, potentially helping Tesla's stock recover. Some believe this activity is more of a performance art aimed at enhancing audience experience rather than a significant technical breakthrough.